the blazing sun. With my pick in hand, the day's just begun. Bust up the dirt, let the treasures unfold. In the heart of the desert, I'm searching for gold.
Hey, well, welcome everybody, Gold Fever Radio. It's another Wednesday. I'm Jack Tucker.
Oh, and I'm Lisa Tucker.
Well, good to meet you there, Lisa. It's
How
nice
do you
to
do?
see you there.
Oh, there we are.
I've got a new camera that I'm using, the Pocket 3 as my webcam, and so it's off to the side, so it's kind of weird looking at the TV, looking at the monitor, because the thing's over there where normally the webcam is right in front of you, so it's kind of strange. All right, let's see what's going on here. What is today? Today is July 2nd. Huh?
July 2nd.
Oh, man, we're getting ready for July 4th coming up. Let's see. Paul, hello, Paul. Josh Cooper, hello. Steve Collier, hello. Mark Nye, hello. Welcome. Hello to you and Karen. Buck Rackley. Yes, hello. Oh, so we did the wheel. When did we do the wheel?
We spun the wheel Monday.
So everything is boxed up. And so I guess we're going to take them all out tomorrow to start the shipping out.
Yes.
But everything has been boxed up. Man, there was a lot of stuff had to box up and address and all of that. But so you guys should be expecting your stuff. So keep on the lookout for that. So anyways, we got a guest that's supposed to pop in tonight. Robert Kryder there.
Kryder, yeah.
I don't see him in here yet, but hopefully he will be popping in here shortly. And we'll talk about all types of he's been on some other I saw him on TV on some actually it was on that, I thought that's what it was, maybe Paranormal Caught on Camera. I think he was on that show. Anyways, but hopefully he's going to be popping in soon. So what's going on? What, you got some notes over there?
I do. Today is National Anisette Day.
Who?
National Anisette Day.
I don't know what that is.
Anisette. It's like licorice tasting.
I could just say I'm a setting right here.
Oh, yeah, okay. And it's also Wildland Firefighter Day.
Who?
Wildland Firefighter Day. Hello.
So what does that mean? Wildland fire?
For the people who fight fires, like
the
people who are fighting the fires in Wickenburg right now.
Well, thank you for all that. Okay.
Famous birthdays today. Lindsay Lohan. She's 39.
Okay, that name sounds familiar.
Okay. Larry David is 78.
Don't know who that is.
Larry David, he created Seinfeld with Jerry
I would have
Seinfeld
never known that.
and Curb Your Enthusiasm. And Richard Petty is 88.
He's a race car driver.
Correct.
Because Richard Petty would have sure been proud of the way I was driving when I passed that. Oh, that's Moral Andretti. Never mind.
It rhymes. Okay. So this day in history, this is interesting. In 1776, New Jersey gives the right to vote to all adults who could show a net worth of 50 pounds.
50 pounds.
50 pounds.
Oh, you mean 50 pounds, not weigh 50 pounds. If you weigh 50 pounds, you can vote.
No. Okay. In 1850, Benjamin Lane patents the gas mask with a breathing apparatus.
Oh, that's nice that you have a you can breathe while wearing a gas mask. That'd be nice.
Uh-huh.
Let's see, I'm looking what else is here.
Mark
Marabella, Brad, Hayden, Daryl Lane, hello.
And Janon.
Hello, Janon. That's
Okay.
the name that just rolls off your tongue, Janon.
In 1865, the Salvation Army was founded.
1865?
Uh-huh.
That was a long time ago.
It was. In 1881, U.S. President James Garfield was shot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In 1901, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid robbed a train of $40,000 in Wagner, Montana.
That was 1901?
Yeah.
Wow.
In 1912, Hornet Hardart opens its first New York City automat. Do you know what that was, the automat?
Yeah, that's an automatic washing machine.
No. That's where you got food. It was already prepared. You put like coins in and you open the drawer and your sandwich was already made for you.
Wow, how weird that is.
Yeah.
And it had a bunch of green spots all over it.
In 1937,
that's where penicillin came from.
Yeah, shut up. In 1937, Amelia Earhart disappeared flying over the Pacific Ocean.
Huh.
In 1962, this is one that's near and dear to my heart. The first Walmart opened in Rogers, Arkansas.
Oh, that's dear to your heart.
Mm-hmm. And in 1979, the Susan B. Anthony dollar was issued.
79?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Huh. I see. There's Chuckles 470S.
Hello, Chuckles.
Yeah. So, I don't think the air's on. I think it's hot. We had some rain a little earlier. Monsoons, I think, is finally upon us.
Supposed to have some more rain around now.
Yeah. So we just I had to make some hamburgers. Got my daughter here with the grandson. They're here.
Mm-hmm.
So they're out in the other room over there. I thought she was going to bring him in so he could say hi to everybody. He could pretend to be Danny or something.
I don't know that he's going to do that, but they're watching it out there because I can hear it.
I know it's awful loud out there, and it's on right there too. We don't see too many trucks.
No, it's got excited. There was a truck came down the road. Nobody comes down our road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's kind of weird. Look at that.
See? Oh, everybody's here.
Oh, there's a dog. There's the kids right there. Look at this here.
Hi.
Look, there you are right there. Say hi.
Say hi to everybody.
Say hello.
Little Kenson Jack.
Say hi. Say hi.
Say hi.
that's my daughter Jenny, grandson. Say hi. Say hi, hello, everybody. Say hi, hello, everybody.
Say hello. Just gonna make funny faces at him.
Say hello, everybody. Okay, well, thanks for stopping by.
Come get anytime.
Will do.
Go out.
Go ahead, River, go. River, come on. No, River's underneath it.
Okay.
Here. Go ahead. Go.
Anyway, so
Okay.
you can see what our entertainment is going on. I just trimmed my bangs too. They were in my eyes, so I just cut them back.
Uh-huh.
I think I cut them a little too short, but they'll go back. Anyway, so I wonder if I should send a message to the guest to remind him, because people get confused when you tell them 5 o'clock one time or something else. I'm just going to say we're on. Let's see if he says delivered, so let's see if he's going to pop in or not. He might be shy.
Okay.
What? Are you shy?
Certainly.
So you're killing me, Jack. What did I do now? I didn't do anything. They got these new detectors out. Have you guys been seeing this here? This detector? Oh man, this weird camera. I may have to switch that. This is called the Algo Force E1500. I don't know if you guys been looking at these here, this detector, but this is a new PI detector made in Australia. Trimming your bangs. Oh, yeah, I think they were in my eyes and they're making me blind. We're going tomorrow to get new glasses because these ones are getting scratched up, and I see more than one object. And a lot of times the objects are closer than what they appear. I've seen that one. Oh, so anyway, yeah, it's on YouTube. So I just ordered this detector. This is a PI. And kind of like I'm thinking, like the Gold Monster. Well, this is a combination PI and VLF because it has the, your VDI screen on it and stuff like that, which is really kind of cool. And they're a lot cheaper than what like the Mind Labs or the Axiom is. So I should have this within the next couple of weeks, and then I'll be doing a video on this here one. I did have. Where's my instructions right there? I did download off the internet the instruction manual, and I've been kind of reading it. It doesn't look too complicated, but you guys ought to go check that out. Actually, I became a dealer for them, but there's really not that much markup from dealer to wholesale cost on these here from what. But anyway, So anyways, I'm looking forward to getting that and testing that out, but that's on its way. Come from Australia, it probably takes 6 months to get here, and the tariffs are probably going to kill me. So hopefully it says he's on. It says he's online now. So hopefully he can log into the show here.
Okay, just say hello to Neil Young.
Hello, Neil Young. No, he just got in. I didn't see him. I didn't see him. So I played a new song for the opening. Did you notice that?
I did,
Yeah,
especially when you told me.
I told you. I'm trying to put all the songs on our new CDs here. My A1 band.
Yeah.
They're so cool to write, you know. You just kind of tell them what you want it to talk about and give it all the keywords, and then it puts it together really cool. What'd you do? Drop your glasses?
I did.
Oh, are they okay?
Yeah.
They didn't break or nothing?
No.
So what else is going on? We're waiting on this guest.
Janine wants to know, do I detect also? No.
You have detected.
I have detected. I have a detector.
Do you? Which is your detector?
The 75?
Oh, we sold that a long time ago.
Well, then I have no detector. Well, okay.
Yeah, we sold
No,
that.
I do not detect.
Do a cover of Heart of Gold. Yeah, yeah. That's for you. I'm saving that one for you. But Lisa can detect anytime she wants and use whatever detector she wants. Because as they say, my detectors is her detector.
That is correct.
Is that right?
That's right.
It's just like all of my guitars are her guitars.
That's true too.
Because she buys them all for me.
Well, I bought a lot of them.
Yeah. With our money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I say, can I buy this? And you say, do you need it? I'll say, well, I don't need anything, but
Janan is correct.
What's yours is hers, and what's hers is hers.
Absolutely. I agree
What's
100%.
Mine and what's yours is mine.
No, wrong.
You know, I didn't even bring a drink with me. What's up with that?
Well, because we were very busy prior to the show. We had a
Okay.
busy day
I
today.
can't believe I didn't even bring a drink with me. I know, yeah, it's been running around town and all types of stuff. And then tomorrow, got to go for glasses. I think we'll go down to Havasu tomorrow and walk around the bridge.
That sounds like fun.
I think that's what we'll do tomorrow. Maybe we'll take a boat and go out on the water or something. Go fishing, and maybe we'll go rent some jet skis and fly up and down the water.
Maybe we'll do all of that.
Yeah, maybe we'll do all that. That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll hang out and have a suit tomorrow.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Has anybody got any questions while we're waiting on a guest? If the guest doesn't join us soon, I don't know what we're going to do. That has sometimes happened because, you know, people, I always say what time it is, 5 o'clock Pacific time. But sometimes people, I think, get confused thinking their Pacific is their time and my Pacific is my time.
It's all 5 o'clock Pacific means 5 o'clock Pacific. It doesn't matter where you are in the country. It's 5 o'clock Pacific. That means it's 8 o'clock back east. And everybody knows that. That's all they
But
have
then
to
why
look.
do people get confused on the time zone?
I don't think it's people who get confused.
Yeah, because sometimes I'll say like it's 5 o'clock and they'll say, well, what time is it there now? You know, so it's like they don't know what time Pacific is.
All you got to do is look it up on your phone.
Yeah, but you just don't know that right up front. Because Arizona, that's right.
Well, that's why we always say it's 5 o'clock Pacific time, and it's always been Pacific time because we don't change. So that makes it easier for everybody who is not
kind
in
of
Arizona.
raining again. Look, that's because sometimes we broadcast in Arizona at 5 o'clock, and sometimes we broadcast in Arizona at 6 o'clock.
Right, but it's always 5 o'clock Pacific.
But it's always 5
Right
o'clock
now,
Pacific.
we're at the same time as the Pacific time zone.
And then we'll be see. Then when I get confused, because then we'll be on the same time as Mountain Time.
When it flips, yes.
Yeah, but yet we still broadcast 5 o'clock Pacific.
That is correct.
Rather than just keep it the same time all the time.
It is the same time all the time.
No, because sometimes we go to 6 o'clock.
It's the same time all the time for everybody watching. It's just you.
Anybody got any questions they want to ask?
Yeah, just don't ask them about time.
I got a headache. You know that?
You shouldn't. You trimmed your bangs.
Yeah, but I had a headache before I trimmed my bangs, so.
Changing the time is stupid. They keep talking about staying on daylight savings time. I don't know if they're ever going to do that, but they keep talking about it.
Well, because half the country wants them to change and half the country don't want them to change.
Well, because this is the only state, that and a piece of Indiana, that doesn't change.
Hawaii, I don't think, or
A
Hawaii.
piece of Hawaii also, but we're the entire state here.
No, the Indian reservations.
That doesn't count.
Indian reservations change. Arizona don't, but all the reservations change. It made sense when we used candles for light.
Probably.
When did we ever use a candle for light?
Way back before there was electricity.
Okay, again, I'm going to say, when did we ever use candles for light?
It's
The key word is we.
It's the generic we.
It's kind of like we play bowling.
We do.
We do. So
we do.
And so when we join a league and people will say, "Have you ever bowled before?" And we say,
do.
We bowl all the time.
Yeah, that's what we do.
It's a Nintendo Wii.
Yeah, we bowl.
We bowl. We bowl on the Nintendo Wii. Yeah. There's Mike Markle. Hey, Jack. Sorry to hear about everything that went down. When do you think you'll make it to that big bug meeting? That I'm not sure. That's going to be up to them people scheduling the meeting. You know, they just, they asked me if I would come out and speak, and I had stuff to talk about, and then what happened. So I haven't heard nothing else about that. So when they ask me to do it, then I guess we'll make time and do that. So until then, I'll just keep on trucking. Candlelight dinner. Ooh.
Candlelight dinner is
hey,
romantic.
You know what? I made French fries in that.
In the Ninja today.
In the Ninja today. Made French fries.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did.
Yes.
I used the air fryer part this time. Before I've used the grills and I've used the bake. I used the air. See, Kind Smoke Jack, have you ever found a American gold coin or any other countries? American gold coin. It seemed like I found a gold coin clear like in late 1990s. I think I found some gold coin when gold really wasn't worth a lot back then. I have found Canadian coins and I have found some pesos. Oh, it says lightning alert. Ooh, the wind's blowing. I hope we don't lose internet. I found pesos. It seems like we find a lot of pesos. When I travel, and I can do that this time too. When I travel, I like to stop at parks along my way, especially the older parks. I'll research and see if there's any older parks in some of these old towns, cities when I travel. And I like to detect parks. Julian Berry, hello. And there was one park that I always detected every time I went through, and I found some really old coin. It was in the book, on that lost treasure book that I have. Somebody found this coin, and he sold it for like $7,000. And so I researched the city, and they had like 3 parks there. So I found which one was the oldest one, and I went out there and I've detected that a few times. I did find an old coin. I don't remember what it was though. I don't even know if I still have that or what. But so I've always stopped in this park to detect. And one time I was there, and the maintenance guys came and they kicked me out of the park. So I have learned that I have to go to that park on a Saturday or a Sunday or later in the afternoon after they've already came through. And I have started wearing one of them yellow vests because then I look like a maintenance worker or something. I'm just fixing the sprinkler system here, sir. Somebody told me they lost their diamond ring, and I'm trying to find it for them, sir.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, there's a delay out there. Huh? What happened? What?
She wants to know what happened with the big bug meeting. It's not your story to tell.
Oh, one of the people had an accident or something. I think that there was a death in the family or something like that happened. And, so a lot of people didn't end up going, and so they decided to cancel that and reschedule for another time. So that's that story there. Well, I don't know where our guest is at. This
I
guest
don't
is going to be at the Treasure Rendezvous in Utah this month.
No, next month.
No, August.
This is July.
Oh, I get my months mixed
Somebody
up.
has a birthday this month.
Ooh, somebody does have a birthday this month.
Somebody does. You better be shopping.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I didn't. You better be
Good
shopping.
thing you told me that.
Yeah,
I would have forgot that.
yeah.
What are you doing for your birthday?
I don't know.
What if I just give you a gift certificate to McDonald's or something and just have you just go have dinner on me?
If you gave me a gift certificate to McDonald's for my birthday, dinner would be on you, along with some other stuff.
My best find was an 1882 American $5 gold coin. That'd be cool. Chuckles. I had a beer every time you two said 5 o'clock now.
That's
I
funny.
forgot what time it is.
And now he's buzzed.
There you go. That is good because it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah,
I used to always be, I used to do plasma cutter, and I made this huge big sign that said 5 o'clock, and I put it on our gate out front. Oh, you know what?
we had it on our trailer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
it's
trailer,
a-
we said 5 o'clock.
No,
Oh, look, that neon sign up there is not on, but that says it's 5 o'clock
yeah,
somewhere.
the Chuck and Peggy
Yeah,
trailer
yeah,
said
no, I
5
remember
o'clock.
that.
Yeah.
No, but that neon sign says 5 o'clock on it because that's what we were, 5 o'clock someplace. What's the strangest thing you've seen in the desert?
Keep it clean.
I was trying to think.
Keep it clean.
The strangest thing I've seen in the desert. I've seen a lot of strange things in the desert, but I saw this alien guy one time in the desert.
Okay.
What? No, I remember one time I was with somebody and I remember going off into the bushes or something. I'm sitting there just minding my own business, doing my thing, and I heard this noise and I looked around and I swear it was probably about 50 yards from me, but it looked like this was a huge head, like a human head. And it scared me. It scared the shit right out of me. So I hurried and ran back to the other thing. And I said, there was something out there. But now, I don't know. It could have been an owl. As I look back on it, it could have been like a Gila monster. But a Gila monster doesn't have a big head. So that's what I was thinking. It may have been an owl.
Maybe.
But, there's a fish. There's Jay. Hello, Jay. One time I was walking on a beach. And there was this girl that was there, and she was like drowning, so I helped her out, and it ended up being she was a mermaid, and she told me that she'd give me a wish, anything I wanted. So I said what I would like. I'm not going to tell that joke. That's a joke.
Really? No.
That joke started, you walk into it now see what people figure out, and everybody's heard it anyway. Walked into this bar, and the guy says, no, I want to ask you a question. He says, how come you got this little head? He says, well, it's kind of a long story. And the bartender says, I got time. So, okay. Well, I was walking through the beach one day, and there was this mermaid there. And so I could have any wish. So I said, I'd like some sex. She said, I can't do that. I'm a mermaid. Well, how about?
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah. Jay wants to know if you found some fish in the desert.
Oh, yeah, I did find those fish one time in the desert. That was kind of strange. I was out looking for an area to prospect in, and I came across this bin that had all these dead fish. There was like about 10 or so of these dead fish laying all over the place. And it's like the guts were all just eaten out of them. And I never knew what caused. I mean, fish out in the middle like that. So the only thing I could imagine was like an eagle or some huge bird, because Lake Mead was right there. That they were snatching these fish out of Lake Mead and taking them up there and just eating the guts out of them and just leaving the rest of them. I don't know, but that was pretty strange to see those out in the desert. Yeah, the fish weren't crawling around. They were, they were. I want to know where our guest disappeared to.
The guest is going to come in at 6 o'clock when the show's over.
Yeah, maybe that's what he's thinking. It's his 6 o'clock. But I sent him a message. It says that he's on. I just said we're on. So actually, it says he's on. So maybe he's on something else. He's on a different show.
Maybe.
He's thinking it was this show, and it's not this show. But anyway,
Don't know.
didn't you find fish in the yeah? So that was it. Fish in the desert. But that was pretty strange. One time I remember that I was out. This was when we still had lived in the campground. I was out detecting this area, and I found these coins, money, and they were like they weren't old or anything. They were like from 19, like some of them, some pennies from like 1950s and stuff like that there. And then I found some later ones like in the 70s and the 80s. So what I thought it was, and it was on this big flat area, this big flat ground. And I thought, since it was right there near the mining company or mining place, I thought that maybe they had like an old clubhouse there or something. And so people lost these coins prior to the war. And then they shut down. And then after the war, they were back again in the same area. So that's why I found coins from two different eras. And I did this little video about it. And Buck's laughing at me. This a friend of mine, and he's laughing at me. Well, I didn't pay any attention to him. And later on, a couple months later, I'm telling somebody else this story. Even old John went out with me one time, and we're gathering these coins up all over the place. And then we were talking about this, and Buck says, "Don't you remember that we went out there one time and we planted all these coins for the wives to metal detect?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Oh, you wasn't there. That was me and Travis that went out there." And I said, "Well, why didn't you tell me that then?" He said, "I tried to tell you that." So they planted all them coins, and I was finding a metal detector. And I thought I'd done anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that. I remember me and Travis walking through the desert one time, and all of a sudden all these bees, you can hear bees, a swarm of bees. You can hear them when they're coming or when they're by you. And so we took off running, and these bees, they seemed like they just kept following us. How are the new folks doing with the campground? I guess they seem to be doing okay. There's really not a lot of activity going on there right now because it is summertime. And we'll have to get together as it gets closer to the winter time to start to plan the winter, stuff, what's going on there and all that type of stuff. But I do have to tell you this story. I can tell people this story. So we went on a little ATV ride the other day. We decided we were going to go out to explore the neighborhood because we've never really explored our subdivision here. It's a really small subdivision where we live. But right behind us is a huge subdivision, a golf course type subdivision. So we drove out and had breakfast or lunch.
The day you looked, we had lunch.
We had lunch out there.
Yeah.
So we drove out, we had lunch, and then we're driving around some of the streets here in our subdivision. And there's this empty street. There's nothing on it. I think there's maybe one house. Actually, on that side, there's nothing on it. But the dirt was so red. I mean, it was nice, reddish looking dirt. And you could tell it's that I've always kind of like called it Columbian, whatever, a quartz like, and granite, just all broken down, sand looking stuff, and reddish dirt. And I thought, man, I got to get me some buckets of dirt out of there. So I went up and got 3 buckets of dirt, and then I ran them through the dry washer really quick. And some of you may have saw them little short videos. I could not believe the amount of gold that came out of that area. So I went back yesterday and got 5 buckets of dirt, and then I was going to run them through a wet system, but it rained today, and I couldn't get my wet system to work. I kept blowing the holes off, and the dirt's kind of damp, so I really can't run it through a dry washer. So I need to get it through a wet system to see if it was a fluke. I mean, this was nice chunky gold.
It was. I saw
for just them 3 buckets.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of gold.
So I definitely have to go back to check that out. And so yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe our guest will think, and it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and he'll log in at 6 o'clock. I don't know. I keep talking till 6. I don't have much to say. Ooh, did you hear that thunder?
I heard the boomer. I did.
Ooh. But right up in front, see, you got mountains right over there in front of us. And I'm thinking
Yeah.
all the gold came off that mountains and it's coming downhill. And we're coming down. So I always said I was going to go to the next lot that's vacant next to us. And there's a wash right there. And I was going to get some dirt out of that wash. But buy all the lots. You know, for if there's that much gold on, there is a for sale sign on one of the corner lots, and I did call but left a message, but I didn't hear back. I was just kind of curious what some of them lots were going to sell for, because yeah, you're right. If they're that's cheap, and on that street,
To buy all the lots on that
oh
street.
yeah, that would be nice. Well, the dogs are all barking out there.
Oh,
The
that's
little
because he's running.
running around. So that's what I'm saying. So the guests will pop in about 6 o'clock, thinking that that's is a 5 o'clock time. It'll be 6 o'clock. Hey, Steve, why don't you come out here and buy all these lots? We'll go in business together. We could have a lot sell.
Selling real estate.
A lot sell. Hey, you know what? I'm here if you need a partner. I need a partner. I just want to be the silent partner, though. I need an investment
He
partner.
needs a benefactor, is what he needs.
Is that what it is? A
Yes.
benefactor?
Yes.
Yeah, I need the. I need
Yes.
somebody with the money. I'll just be
The voice.
the voice behind the
The
thing.
voice in the face. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
what we need. But
Yeah.
yeah, with that, if there's that type, so that was right there off the road, right there on the road, and I just got that dirt. So I'm going to run these buckets here, and if there's that type of gold in these buckets, I don't know. I may go closer, even a little higher up.
Go dig more gold. You'll be able to buy one of those lots.
Yeah. Hey, with that type 3 buckets, oh my gosh! Could you imagine if you build a swimming pool there? You know, you buy the lot and then you say, we're going to put, so you get the backhoe in because you're digging a swimming pool. So you don't have to have a plan of operation. You don't have to have approval from BLM because you're putting in a swimming pool on your lot or dig a foundation. And so you're going to pull all that up. And now you've got to run it through a dry washer so you can separate the big rocks out of it. And then you're going to say, we decide we don't want to put the pool there. So then we're going to fill that hole back in and then move it over a little bit and do it again. And then after we do the whole lot,
Yeah.
then we'll say, we don't want this lot. So then we'll put that lot up for sale and we'll move to the lot next to it.
Great idea.
That is. And the money we make, keep buying the lots from the gold. If anybody wants to become silent partners, just
Steve's coming tomorrow to follow you around.
okay, I'll be there.
Well, not tomorrow, Steve, because we got to go
oh,
to
yeah,
Havasu tomorrow.
yeah. Oh, here's Robert saying, hey brother, I went down with a bad stomach bug a few hours ago and just sitting out of the privy to check messages. I guess the kid had a couple days ago and it hit me out of nowhere like a ton of bricks. I was in hardcore abdominal pain, but it's easing up a bit now. I can still try to get on if that's okay. I'm waiting. I'm just going to say, come on in. Come on in. Okay.
You gotta go.
I understand. You know, when it hits, it hits. So, anyways, yeah. So, what are we doing? What's tomorrow? Thursday?
Tomorrow's Thursday.
What are we doing Friday?
We're not doing anything.
Friday. You can come on down on Friday. Somebody else said they want to come up and get some buckets of dirt too. Hey, you know what? Come on down, bring some buckets of dirt, or bring some buckets and get some dirt. Huh?
I wanted to do something Friday.
Well, you could do something.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember what it is I wanted
Well,
to
I
do.
mean, you could do something.
Yeah, I
you
know. I will.
you
I
know?
will.
I can be playing in the dirt while you go to town
Yeah.
or something.
I
You
want to
could go
go.
shopping.
I need to go to the library.
Oh, well, there you go too. Yeah, because I remember Roland said he wanted to come out. I didn't know if that was this
that
weekend.
this weekend?
Well, it was either this weekend or the following weekend. He said,
Okay.
depending on whether he could or he couldn't. But maybe the following weekend.
Because we'll be gone for a few days next week.
Oh yeah, then we got to go. We
Yeah.
got to go to Utah for 3 days.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you'll be broadcasting from Utah.
Yeah, that'll be very fast because that's.
Lisa could go to Walmart. She doesn't want to, but she could.
I'm in Prescott. I can come over too. There you go. We just have a big old shing ding here.
Yeah, inconspicuous.
Inconspicuous. Everybody getting buckets of dirt out of it. Well, because here's the thing. So because where I want to go next is on the backside of this little mound of hill there. So have somebody go on the backside and get buckets there. And if they find gold there too, then we know that whole lot has gold in it. Then that would mean on the other side of the highway's got to even be better.
Hmm.
And we're likely to run into BLM on that side of the highway where I can put some claims there.
Just don't go on the train tracks.
Well, yeah. Well, but I mean, I don't know where BLM kicks in up there, but because it's coming from the hill. So this type of gold, you just kind of, if you're following, and it's nice chunky stuff too. It wasn't.
No, it was big.
So it was nice, Peter. You guys that saw them, the little short video that I did put on Facebook and on YouTube. I'd come if I was closer. I know you would. So I think I made up some tumblers to take with me to Utah. Some of those whatever type of tumblers that I said I was going to make up. So I'm going to make some of them. And then I was thinking I ought to take like some mining stuff, like dirt bags, pay dirt bags, or even like, I'll have to have my CDs. I have to take my CDs. But I think I'll have like gold to sell. Panning sand.
That's why it says golden on it.
Yeah.
So we don't think that it's oregano.
Yeah.
Or pepper.
Yeah. Oregano and pepper. Yeah. Oregano and pepper.
Yeah, it's hot in this
And
room.
it wasn't 100 plus.
Hmm?
Oh, today was cool though. Today it's saying it's only 84 degrees right now. Look at that.
Yeah, well, because of the rain, because it keeps raining.
Yeah. The monsoons has taken over but it's going to warm back up again. So waiting to see if our guest is going to pop in here. And that's what we're waiting on. I'm tired too. I didn't sleep well last night.
Yes, you did too.
Anybody got any prospecting questions? Any other questions on gold prospecting that would love to chime in? Anybody
Want to buy a metal detector?
Anybody want to buy a metal detector? Hey, you know what? So here's what I was going to do. So probably within the next couple of weeks, somebody asked about this a while back to put one of them Mine Lab gold monsters in the wheel. So I'm thinking not for another couple of weeks, but here in another couple of weeks, we will put a gold monster in the wheel. How's that?
Okay.
And there'll only be like 25 spots or something like that. So it'll be really fast. Is all we'll do is maybe 25 spots.
Okay.
And but we'll put a gold monster in the wheel. But I do have some gold monsters for sale if anybody's interested. Got some good deals on them. So I got another metal detector in the mail today that I got to test now or do another video on.
Oh, and we got the scooter this week too.
We got a
scooter
this
for
week.
me.
They send a scooter to do the video on. We pretty well finished that video though. I got to finish editing it together. Jack, did you like that small Royal dry washer? I got that from Mark. That small dry washer. That was that was okay. It's kind of small. I mean, if it's the advantage of the small thing, it'll fit in the back of the quad or something like that, fairly easy. But it smaller, so I mean it comes in handy. Everything has. I used to have 4 RV trailers. I mean 4 ATV trailers. Remember, one was wider, so I could put a couple quads I had on sideways on that. Then I had one that was really long that I could put the Razor on and one little quad on there, ATV on there. And then I had the smaller one that would just haul one ATV on there. So they're all for different reasons,
Absolutely.
And so that's the same thing of having different dry washers. You got a big ass one if you want to run some, big stuff.
Ass.
You've got a little one if you just want a little sample thing. So they all serve a thing. A GM 1000, awesome. Can't see it now. Jack borrowed my tractor to fix his yard, and I get a call from some county official that my tractor got confiscated for illegal mining. Oh no, I wouldn't. I'm not mining. Not if I own the lot. I'm leveling my lot, or I'm getting rid of the weeds on my lot. I would never just start digging a hole on somebody else's lot
And not fill it back in.
and not fill it back in. Well, I filled the holes in.
No, you didn't.
Well, they're not massive holes.
No.
Well, I just heard him pop in. Here's our guest right here. Let me see if I can bring him in right here. Hey, there he is. Look at that.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Hey, all right. How you feeling?
Oh, a little bit better. Still, I got hit by a truck, but we'll work it out.
Hey, all right. Robert himself, everybody, the one and the only.
Yeah, I just had to put all this together and jump in last minute here.
Yeah, that's okay. We were just sitting here yakking, just kind of killing time, So wondering if our 5 o'clock was your
Okay.
6 o'clock or something.
All right.
Will you going out? Will you bring me a drink?
Sure. What do you want?
Just something. Give me one of them darks.
Which would you want? The
An IPA, some sort.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right.
So let's see. So Brad just said, "Hey, Robert." Brad was out there at Moon Lake. So, hey, Robert. So why don't you introduce yourself to everybody, those that don't know you? Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, I'm Robert Kryder. I run a research and exploration company called Kryder Exploration. We have for several decades now. And we kind of specialize in high-end research and recovery like geo-imaging and all that stuff. And then as well, site surveys, code breakdown, excavation, entry, death trap removal, all that good stuff. And then got into a lot of the cryptid stuff because being out there so much, we encountered just about everything that was around, especially in the really crazy areas. And so started into cryptid research and did the Bigfoot thing with Oxford University and University of New Mexico Gallup campus and a few others, kind of on that end. So that's where we are now.
And so what was funny? So I guess I met you a couple years ago there at Moon Lake. But last year, I think is when I really had the chance really to talk to you, and we talked about a few different things. And one of my favorite shows to watch on TV, I love watching that paranormal caught on camera thing. And I saw you on there, and I thought, wait a minute here, that's that guy there. And you were doing something with Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm actually trying to get my. Let's see what we're gonna do here. See if I've got. Okay, there we go. I'm also doing a recording on the backside, so I'm gonna adjust this out so it all works here for us. Okay, cool. That should work. Yeah. Go ahead. What were you saying again, Jack? I'm sorry.
That I just happened to watch one of those shows, that paranormal caught on camera show.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I saw you on there with something to do with Bigfoot, and I thought, wait a minute here, that's him. I thought, man, he does get out there on that TV there.
Yeah, that company purchased a few videos from us. I don't know when they'll put up the other ones. Kind of, they're all weirdness, strange sightings and whatever. And yeah, they approached me a while back. Real good group to work with, actually. They were real fair. A lot of them aren't, so I went ahead and did it.
Oh. So Brad said, very cool new machine that you're doing. It looks interesting. I'm assuming, so you're going to be out at Moon Lake this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's next month. That's coming up.
That's coming up fast, yeah. Really fast for us, yeah. And
you're going to have that out there and talk about it? I'm sure you're one of the speakers.
Yeah, I know I'll be presenting at some point. I'm not sure what Mark wants me to do. They let me know kind of what bracket and thank you, and everything like that. So I guess I'll probably be doing the Bigfoot thing again. I'm sure I'll be doing a different presentation than I did last time. I might even incorporate kind of the common aspect toward a lot of the ancients that were here before, Bigfoot, and potentially off-worlders, or I don't know, whatever they are, little ultra-terrestrial, riptoid, whatever. Because we find a lot of their same stuff, all their iconography mixed together in a lot of these hyper ancient sites we work. So the high strangeness factor is always there, and I might go ahead and do a presentation, kind of those and the relationships of how they are. So.
So what is your probably your main forte that you're into? Far as is it Bigfoot or UFOs or what is your main?
No, I would have to say ancient advanced cultures or hidden forbidden knowledge and history, um, sites, devices, features, things like that. I let people know. I got really well known for the Bigfoot thing over the last like 10 years that we jumped in because we kind of went in at such a high level. And then, but I tell people that's represents probably 2% of the stuff we actually do. And it all kind of edges on high strangeness, and only because I've found some really big sites many years ago, and then a lot of the big pros came in and backdoor agencies and this and that. So, it just takes you different branches on the tree, and so all those aspects of the basically forbidden knowledge and who is actually here on this continent and what they were doing and the whole 9 yards. So that's really where it's at right there for us in all actuality. Which led us to developing this new software. Even for the Bigfoot stuff, I developed a device that lets you hear a human talking in optimal conditions a mile away. But what's interesting about it is, and more novel about it, we just got our patent pending on it right now, is it has the ability to pinpoint down to a 1 degree or 2 degree wide field pattern of listening. About 80% of the sound will come off that tiny little spot. So it works just kind of like a flashlight that you focus and then it extends the range. And so this has the capability of doing that same thing. And then that enables us to be able to like pick out a single tree with an owl, let's say, and at a mile, we can identify which tree that owl is sitting in when it makes its noise. So, and then, now that we're doing, that was for the Bigfoot deal. So now we sell that technology. We got a patent pending on it. It's going to be going to like the military in India, and others want to play with it and everything, and for early warning and sensor system. And then now we're pumping. I know you're aware because you signed up as a beta tester. So, but we're now developing technology around the treasure hunting thing. So, I was always into research and recovery, like I said, on a pretty high end since 1994 at least. And then what that had turned into is some really big finds and whatnot, and getting my hands on a lot of pretty advanced technology and working with the developers and the inventors of the technology. So most of the stuff I got trained on, I was trained by the people who invented or one of the software guys for it. And then, it just went down the line now to where after the 10 years of the Bigfoot run, and I've pretty well tiered that, and I still am involved in that, still doing speaking and stuff on it, but we're trying to slide back into the ancient history and culture because a lot of the new technology that's coming up. And also I'm watching now that everybody can talk to each other and throw things out, right? Everybody's just throwing everything in the world out there. And so now it's getting even more difficult to follow a solid branch of information without just falling off and getting lost in all the leaves, So I want to focus back down on kind of the reality of what's out there since we've been exposed to it. And, and that means putting the time and the boots on the ground, developing the technology that'll enable us to do it. And that's where, like I said, the GeoPro 3D we just developed, that came from.
So when you're talking about, are you talking about, like I hear people talk about little people and giants and stuff like that? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, to a point, I guess. Sure, there was other humans and things running around with us at times, and probably even still to this day, as far as the little people go. But more so, there's other things out there. Whether people say, "Oh, they're ETs," and all this, and we're finding that there's something else as well out there that's dinosauric or reptoid looking or whatever that the people dealt with way back. And a lot of these ancient cache sites we see that are heavily monumented were actually created by them. And from everything we've gleaned, Native American stuff, and even on the glyphs and everything that we find, it would appear that they're not from somewhere else, at least these guys, that they're actually from here. And they would be a subterranean species of being that evolved a long time ago, and they're still around. So, and that's kind of one of the things that everything we run into out in the field, when we get to the core of why and what with these big sites, it usually turns out that they've had some involvement or another in it.
So with that machine, so if you're up on stage and there's hundreds of people out there in that audience, and you're looking at somebody in the back, they're saying, "What the hell are they talking about?" You can zoom that thing right in there and say, with your headphones on and listen to their conversation.
Oh yeah, real easy. Yeah, yeah. You can even at several blocks away in a city, you can point it at the windows of a restaurant and hear the people talking inside. So just off the
Wow.
vibration off the windows. So yeah, it's a pretty cool device.
I can
And-
see some handiness. I can listen to what my neighbors are saying about me across the way, you know.
That's what everybody says. They don't want when they're going to find out what everyone really thinks about them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What are them guys sitting on the porch? I wonder what they're talking about, you know.
Mhm.
I know there was this device. I don't know what makes it. It's like it's in a little weird thing, and I guess it's to look at the moon and stuff with it. It's high tech, but you can shine it so far away and see somebody in their backyard miles away, but you can't hear them. So that'd be kind of cool to incorporate some of that stuff together.
Right. Get the audio long range. Well, we're also building. This is going to be a while. Building an app right now that will be loaded with all the Cornell universities, all their wildlife signatures. So all the audio vocal signatures of everything in North America will be loaded in this app. And then when animals call and make sounds, it'll automatically identify those by their vocal signature. Just like we have voice recognition locks for our phone and all that, same kind of technology. So it'll be an artificial intelligence app, and that'll go with our dishes eventually. And that way, it'll sit and it'll throw up what animal's making that noise as you hear the animal, or unknown, or you can tag it as a known to teach the AI. It basically is very similar to the way our GeoPro 3D stuff works, because that's all AI controlled as well. So
that'd be cool to take that stuff up hunting, going on hunting trips, and have that stuff there.
Oh yeah, Ron, my buddy Ron Castor, he's a great friend, great help, and he bought one, and he works for the U.S. Forest Service. He's actually, I think it's his 20th year. He's a manager over there in Arizona of a region, and he was working on a fire on the side. They do a lot of basically overtime work or off time work or whatever, where they go positioned on a fire watch or whatever. And he was doing that, and they were bored at the pickup, and they were listening to elk. And on the map, the ridge they were listening to their footfalls was 2 miles away, so they could hear the elk walking 2 miles away on the rock. So yeah, it's pretty incredible. Yeah, for hunting it'd be awesome. Yeah.
So so this new machine, or the one of the 3D scans and all of that, you can hook that up to any detector,
anything that puts out audio. So even not just detectors, but 2 boxes, magnetometers, anything that'll give an audio tone to the user. We take that audio tone and then we translate that with the AI and generate imaging off of that. Yeah. So, so far tested, we've been able to use an out-of-date OKM Rover C, which they don't have software for anymore. So it's basically a $12,000 paperweight. And with this, I can just plug it right in and scan with it all day. And it doesn't need their software. It does not depend on anything, because all I'm using is what your headphones would get. And so any detector that puts out an audio tone, and they all have really crazy ways of registering, you know better than anybody, all their different tonal responses for how they tell you something's in the ground, whether it's beep, 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 or like all metal mode where it scales up, down. All those things will still provide imaging information for the software. Mainly, it's just the user might have to develop a different method of using his machine to get that data. But yeah, it'll just about anything you plug into it. And then what we're doing with it right now, I've never seen anything this advanced before. Not yet, because this was all designed by AI, and it was designed by the same AI that they used to build CERN. Matter of fact, CERN AI is one of the first we used, and we used Claude, Sonnet, and GPT, and even Grok for a little while, but we use them in stereo. So we'll use 2 of those AIs. We'll give them both our program. Both are capable of reading the code, understanding what we want, what the program does, and then they both run it and they discuss it between themselves, and they work out fixes and they improve it, and then they come up with ideas and tell us, like, hey, if you guys will do this, we can do this. And so we're letting it define what it needs, and then we're giving it what it needs to be able to see and feel its surroundings. And so we've already accomplished probably the impossible, and this is the early stages to where it's going to go. The AI seems to feel that not only would we be able to image objects, but also potentially tell you how long they've been in the ground by the mineral accumulation on the outside of the object. So it can actually distinguish all of that from these fields. It's pretty insane, and you'd think it's impossible, but it works. And we're testing it and it works.
So basically, like, is it like you're looking for an underground cache, or like a box of gold coins or treasures or something like that?
Yeah, whatever. Anything, any imaging device, anything you're looking for. So if you want to find mineral with a magnetometer, like the OKM Rover series mags and stuff, they'll find ore bodies, caves, whatever. That's still going to be transmitted directly into our software. So it's going to be able to look for and find whatever it is that your machine that you have in your hand can register. So anything and its capabilities of the device itself. So we're not building, we do have a device, but this isn't it. This isn't a device, it's software, and you put it into your laptop, and then you basically allows you to plug your metal detector directly into your laptop. We use a wireless mic setup, so we have 150-foot range. But doing that, it's basically anything you plug into it is going to give you imaging data, because its field is experiencing the ground, and it's going to tell the user what it is through an audio signal. So we're just translating that audio signal into viewable data or information.
So you're going to have one of them in the Moon Lake to show and tell or demonstrate and all that?
Yeah, well, like I said, it's a software package. So we'll bring computers with that loaded onto it. And then we'll probably go over to the Fisher table and say, hey, plug your detector into this laptop real quick and walk around with it, and show them a 3D map made with their own metal detector. That's kind of where we'll be. And we'll have devices there. We'll have, I'm also representing a company that wants to partner with us so they can supply this software with their new unit. And that's called, the company's name is going to be Okta. But it's their unit that they're coming out with. The first one is the HS6000, and it's all American electronics, but it's in a Chinese case because they're using carbon fiber and whatnot, and you can't afford that stuff in the U.S. But it is all American electronics, American company. And the Okta 6000 is a pulse induction with about an 8-foot loop, 6 to 8 foot ground loop, or it comes down to 1 meter or whatever, 4 feet, somewhere in there. And it allows you to punch anywhere 15 to 20 feet. And so we're now just bringing that up into the testing with the software to see, because we're also going now for volumetric view, which is kind of a view like bubbles floating in 3D space for whatever whatever object is throwing the field, let's say, and it'll throw up a bubble form in 3D space. And in order to do that normally takes some type of depth, whether it be, like GPR, it can ring depth because it can count reflection. Well, you can't do that with a metal detector. So we have to work on it a different way, and we are, and it's working. But we just haven't been able to finalize all that for this bigger unit yet, because the coil's so big compared to like a metal detector or a mag sensor is little bitty. And here we've got this 8-foot loop. So we have to find a way to program the software so it knows this loop is 8 feet. And that way we can get depth on everything. And so that's a whole accurate depth. And that's a whole nother rascal there. So. Well,
so since you're kind of, I wanted to ask you a couple questions, but one of them is, I have heard, you're talking, I guess, similar to this, like frequencies and different things like that. And I've heard everything puts out a frequency. So like, let's say if there's big gold nugget in the ground, and it's putting off, and I've heard that, like the frequency might be like 3 or something like that kilohertz. But then if you had like a spectrum analyzer, could you point that at that, and would that pick that up?
Yeah. So let's put it this way. So let's say you're running a detector that has no discrimination on it. Whatever it signals on is going to show up on your data map. And then let's say that it has discrimination, you turn discrimination on, only the metals you allow are what's going to show up in your data map. So like I said, whatever the device will pick up is what's going to show up in your data. And it's going to come straight across just like that. And so multi-frequency detectors and things like that, it really doesn't matter, because what we're listening to is the audio tone that is sent out to the user. So the metal detector's already done all of its own work, and we're just seeing, it's kind of like if you could keep track of every little tone and nuance and spike that you experience over an area, and then imagine all of that at the same time, every little nuance at the same time, and put that on a map so you could just see it all. That's what we're doing. So it's kind of like we are the human. The software is instead the human that walks around with the detector, and the software is experiencing all of that, putting it all together and showing it all in one big block on a map.
So I've seen some of the pictures and things that you've posted where, like the culverts or whatever's picking up. Would it actually, does it have to be something like a box full of coins, or could you actually decipher bigger gold nuggets in the ground too?
Like I said, whatever the device you're scanning with will pick up. And then it'll also extend the capabilities some, because our ears only hear down to certain levels, and our software, you can tune it so it can pick up and register sounds coming out of the headphone output that you can't hear, and we can still get that data and map with it. So even changes in the ground where we'd always ignore that, just the woo, there's always little warble or ground sound behind a lot of units and things. Normally we completely ignore that and we go for our targets. Well, this will map with all of that because something is changing in the ground to make those hums and those low tones and things. That's the changes in the ground. So let's say you have a backfilled ditch. Theoretically, RF is going to be different. Radio frequency that coming off the detector is going to be different when it hits the backfill. It's going to treat that signal differently than it would with nothing else. So if the unit makes noise during that experience, you can see that small change. So it doesn't matter if it's an engine block or if it's an 8-penny nail, really is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It's still going to both show up on the thing. Now, if you had an 8-penny nail on top of an engine block, obviously not, because it's just going to be a huge signature from an iron target. But with what we're developing, if you put an iron nail on the surface and the engine block 6 or 8 feet deep, if your device picks up that deep, then it will distinguish between the nail above it and the block below it. And that's something that I don't think any software can do right now. But like I said, so it just depends on what you plug into it. Like if you plug in a rover, the OKM stuff, you can map backfill. You can dig a hole, put the dirt back in the hole, and you can see that because it's passive and it just maps magnetic fields. And so the Earth's magnetic field is screwed up where you dug the hole. The ground in the Earth is polarized. So for thousands or hundreds of thousands of years, whatever, the Earth's field flowing a certain direction through it aligns all the electrons and everything in a band like a magnet. And so if you turn that, rotate it, instead of lines going straight down, let's say a flow from the magnetic field, they would go down, turn, and then go down. You'll see that turn in that data because the mag field's inner.
You went silent. You lost your audio. The audio disappeared. Gone.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
I don't know how that muted. I don't have a mute button here, but anyway, yeah, I had a blind cat trying to get in my lap. I'm back. So yeah, it's really, like I said, so if anything messes with the magnetic field, you're using a mag, even though we think of it as I'm going to be finding iron targets with my mag, but really the mag is finding the magnetic field all of the time. And as that field flows and hits objects, if they're made of iron, you have an object, and if it's made of iron, magnetic field will hit it, charge it, and it will emit an electromagnetic field. So each of the iron things show up as what we call hot. They're hot fields. And then if it hits a block of ceramic, let's say that's non-magnetic, it'll compress against one side of it, and there'll be an eddy on the other side. So you'll have a red band, and then you'll have a medium color, and then you'll have a blue band because there's a high compression, a density of magnetic field. Then there's an eddy, just like a river, if you can imagine, what we're doing, like with the rover, you're looking through 60 to 80 feet of, like, it's like looking through water, 60 or 80 feet of it at the same time. But we're not seeing the objects in the water. We're seeing the water that's flowing around the objects. And that's what those map. And everybody gets them wrong. A lot of people used to really badmouth OKM because they couldn't find anything, or they dig and thered be nothing there. And really, it's just because it's not the technology, it's the way they see the technology. They don't really realize that they're looking at a magnetic field in motion that's moving around objects. They think that they're seeing the signature of the object itself. And really, you're not. You're seeing the difference. So if it's a positive magnetic field, it's a difference from the neutral that's around it. That's the only reason you see it. And same thing when you have an absence of a field. And I was asked earlier today if, how can you eliminate nails that are over a tunnel and this and that? Well, you have to remove them, because if you haven't, the absence of something can't be seen in the presence of something. So if you have a nail over a void, you're not going to see the void because the void is nothing and the nails is something. And so that's how we have to envision all this. It just depends on the technology you're using. Our software is able to look at those signatures and still throw you up an anomaly or a pattern or a feature. It even tries to identify or help lay out the feature for you, and gives you that data as well. So it gives you both just a straightforward look, and then it also gives you what the AI declares. So there's several ways it shows you information. Like it'll draw the lines on the side of a tunnel or culvert on the bottom map, and then the top will be the data, and it does it all at the same time. And so if you are using a metal detector or whatever, it has a different way of functioning, but it still has a response. So it really doesn't matter with this if you're using a metal detector or a 2-box, a magnetometer or whatever, because there's a difference between the ground and the thing, we can see it. And the software is going to understand there's a difference there. It's going to show the values. And as it's mapping both frequency and amplitude as well, both of them at the same time. So the power of that signal as well as how the frequency is changing.
So your software, so the software is 3D, and I understand the old OKMs, they had that kind of the screen that you'd show you the same, the 3D graphs and all. So I've got a detector. I was just trying to see if it's already packed. It's one of them deep seeking ones that has that great big 4-foot coral that 2 people walk with, but it's got a little 3D screen on it too. Mm-hmm. So what's the difference with, say, that little screen there, what is kind of mapping in 3D, and the software you got? Can they be incorporated, or is it kind of the same technology?
Well, it's not the same technology, but it is kind of doing the same result. Most of the ones that come out are just a very basic plot map that is then encoded into like a size and color. So for how strong the signal is, they'll do a size, and the frequency it comes across, they'll do a color. And it shows things up. It'll show you the basic of the ground map of the magnetic field. But as far as distinguishing items, materials, and all that, it's just going to be, like I said, it's all you're seeing is this raw magnetic data. And so ours is totally different than that, because it's actually thinking, going through in the data, finding the commonalities, and then showing you those common factors. And then as well, we can adjust those. We can adjust with sliders and filters, and put 4 different filter settings and move all that data values around. And that's actually how our AI, it has a setting now in the software where you can click it. It will run however many scans you tell it to, and then it'll find the common factors and it'll label them for you and say, we've detected an anomaly. And we're just teaching it that right now. But like I said, it's going to register whatever the machine registers. That's going to be in the data. And then unlike OKM, if you throw a nail out in front of, if you have a tunnel on one side of your scan area and you throw a nail on the opposite side of the scan area, you'll never see the tunnel. That's how OKM works, because it works like discrimination, and it alters the entire scan based on whatever to get that medium value. And we don't set a medium value. The high and low is whatever the device puts out. So on ours, we don't interpolate that data that way. We leave that nail there. We leave the tunnel there. They're both separate. They are what they are. And that's how our software approaches it. And then it will work on amplifying that tunnel signature or that nail, or however you play with it. So It's almost go ahead.
Oh, so you mentioned hooking it up with OKM, but so let's just say if I had, like, I gave up, I used to have the Fisher, and I kind of gave up on the Fisher 2-box. And now that you have that Deus 2, that Deep Seeker 2-box Deus that's kick ass, kind of multi frequency. So, what you've got that software, can you hook that up then to, say, the Deus 2 just that way?
Yeah, as long as it puts out an audio signal. So, if it has a setting, or if it comes to headphones, has an audio port, then yeah, we can. I mean, I could image with this. You know, I can image with a handheld pinpointer because it makes noise. And so I can literally pass the pinpointer over a grid area and give you a 3D image or whatever's underneath it, even with a pinpointer. It doesn't matter what it is because the software doesn't care as long as it puts out an audio tone that we can take in and analyze. That's what we're doing. So that Deuce machine, it'll work just like it does as long as it puts out an audio signal. Okay. Now, people have told me that some of the new OKM stuff doesn't have an audio out port, but then we just throw a lapel mic on the side of the machine and send it over anyway. Yeah, so we'd throw it into a wireless mic, put the lapel mic right on the speaker, and then send that sound over to the rover. So we can still, as long as it produces audio and audio tone, we can do that. Now, they're looking at the fields, and then they have their own computer algorithms that are looking at the fields. So they should be able to do much better than we can do. But they're still, everything is being developed in the same mental process as they were 40 years ago. You know, you ring its bell, it rings back to you. What does that tell me? And we don't do that because we're looking at the relationships of sound, frequency versus amplitude versus timing. And we look at the timing on the nanoscale. We actually look at the timing in like 100,000th of a second or whatever. That thing's looking at timing issues because fields travel at different speeds. Through materials, they travel at different speeds where they're being reflected by materials. So instead of looking at a frequency that's coming off an actual frequency, not an audio tone like the detectors are doing, we're going around all that, and we're predicting what these fields would be like, and then it's comparing this stuff like one against the other to kind of give you an answer. So it's kind of a whole different animal. The effect is similar, but it's a whole different animal. Yeah.
So is this like you take, it's a CD, I'm assuming your software CD, and you're going to put it in the laptop?
Yeah. Now it's not available on CD because of the type it is. And so, but it's what you do is you purchase the software, download it, and then our system takes your computer credential, the computer ID, and then it knows that computer. And so if you re-download it, or you screw your computer up, or you got to format it, or you don't have to buy another license or anything like that, once it's active, then our system knows that. So it's like if you had to change computers, even we allow 2. That way a person can get it in their laptop and in their PC at home, because most laptops just suck at krigging data because the touch deal and the whole night, it just makes it a pain in the butt. A mouse on a PC is the way to go, and you're going to be analyzing your data. And so, we allow 1 for each. So you can get 1 for a laptop, 1 for your PC. And then, like I said, per computer, it's unlimited. So like OKM, if you had 3 crashes, you're out. You got to spend another $700 for a software license. And we're not doing that. It's like your computer can crash 15 times. As long as it's the same computer, it'll download it, it'll refresh and go back in that version. So that's the intent behind it. And then, and this way as well, main reason that, back in the day, they deliver it to you on a CD is so that they could encode the license and registration system within the CD. And so that way you can't use the software, you can't copy the software, and you can't do all this. You can make 1,000 copies of our software, but you couldn't install it without connecting to our portal. And so, and we use NFT security. So SHA-256, which is the same security that runs Bitcoin. So right now with today's standard, it's basically unhackable. And we did all that because I wanted to get away from the way all the standard stuff is working. It's all proprietary and regulated to the max, so they can continually get the money from you. And And we're not doing that. Once you own the software, it's your software, you own it. And you have the right to open it and use it, whatever the hell you want to do with it. Just not ship it to somebody else's computer, basically.
So you'll have that at the Moon Lake or whatever for people. I mean, so I'm sure you're going to talk about that. People that say they want to go download it and all that. So that's actually available now then.
Yeah, it's actually available now. And we are still modifying it. We're out of the beta tester phase, but we are still modifying and upgrading at high speed. Like right now, they're changing the way all the AI engineering engines in the world work. And they're working through what they call API keys, which is they can charge you basically per prompt or per change that is done to a program. They charge you, and it's a lot of money now. So we ramrodded this whole thing in before that change took place, or we would have probably never been able to have developed something that was this advanced. It's really come down to the wire, to that kind of a wire on all this stuff. So
now here's a question. Panama Prospect. How does it treat crystals and large carbon coal or diamonds that absorb signals?
Well, again, it'll be definitely based on the machine or the device that you're connecting to it. So now, naturally, metal detectors aren't going to do really anything on crystal deposits and whatnot. They certainly could. And if there is a difference, we'll see the difference. So the software, if there's a difference that comes across the audio signal, the software is going to show that difference. It's going to demonstrate it. So any effect is what we're looking for. We're not looking for necessarily specific effects or specific colors or anything like that. What we want to look for are the objects and the features to see what's going on. And so if there's a crystal deposit that affects a radio wave from a metal detector or a magnetic response from a mag, it's going to show up in the software. It'll show up in the data.
So this information that you've got, say somebody wants to go check it out or whatever, where people could go to get more information about all of this?
We have a home site, and I was going to try to see if I've got that link. I don't think this will do anything to you. I hope not. Did you disappear?
No.
Okay, didn't disappear. All right. So my Wix website, do the tech. Let me go home. Okay, so we have a home page set up right now that's kind of a temporary one that's going to be for now until we get the main portal all set up. This is a Wix page where it was built. And this is for all the information, talks about it, and it has links to go get the software and everything else. And you can see our security and our tech. And that is at https:// same as most sites, explore it all, period. Wix site, that's WIXSITE.com. So that's exploreitall.wixsite.com, and then /GeoPro3D. And so that's the home for now. And then, but you can, our web portal, let me try to get you back on the screen here. Our web portal is geopro3d.ai. So you just www.geopro3d.ai. And that's actually where our subscription service is and all of our database and our software. And that's where you can talk with our developers. And even our chat we'll have two forms of chat. One will be with an intelligent AI that understands geophysics, that understands our technology, our code, and can discuss these things with the user. Each user, it will develop kind of a relationship with each user that uses it through the web portal as well. So it learns kind of with you as you use your own software. And we don't have access to any of that. So whatever you do with that thing is up to each user. But yeah, that's there. And then we also have a Facebook page that's GeoPro3D on Facebook. So pretty easy to find.
Cool. Well, we out here, we're just starting to get into some of this 3D mapping, treasure hunting type stuff. You know, I'm kind of transitioning from gold prospector to gold treasure hunter.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And so some of the software, and I've just bought this. I don't know if you've seen this one.
No.
That's the new one they're coming out and made in Australia. PI VLF machine.
Mm-hmm.
So I just bought that one. But anyway, so I've got all these detectors that I haven't used yet. Some of these deep seeking machines, and and 3D imaging things. And so I'm intrigued by that because, I mean, out here, we're like I say, we're starting to get into treasure hunting and some of these buried Spanish treasures and stuff we want to find. So,
yeah. And I mean, with the array of metal detectors you've got, that's why I really appreciated you when you came on early, and I knew I could work with you as part of our testing too, because, you're going to be plugging in stuff that nobody else has this unit to walk up and plug in. Because really that's all it is. You can be scanning with one unit, you can do half a scan with one unit and finish the scan with another unit. Our software doesn't care. So it's just literally unplug it and plug it into another one. And you might need to set your gain level from the volume coming in, whatever. But other than that, there's no real change. So you could let you scan with one and plug the other one in, scan with the other one, plug the other one in, scan with the other one. And, so you have all these, you're going to get to compare all this stuff, So eventually we're going to be squeezing your brain too, to, create a settings deal to where you have profiles for different machines. So our AI will understand what machine you're using and what it does. And that's going to be all after we get feedback, from people like you.
So if I bring out my laptop and whatever I had and hook it up, you can kind of help understand. See, because to me, it's kind of like Greek. I have a hard time, grasping it. And that's why I really haven't played too much with it.
Right.
Because, my brain can only hold so much image. And it's like I'm involved with so many projects that I just,
Well, it's easier than anyone would think it is, because I've used a lot of different kinds of software, especially in the early years when they were really complicated. It's easier. So we built it so there's really nothing to do. You start the analyzer screen. That's your feed that goes across from your audio signal. You name your file. You basically, there's big windows. You can use them with gloves on if you need to or whatever, on touch screen. But they just basically, you're going to set like your pulses per second. We let you set up to 10 pulses per second. That way you can drive on the back of a quad at 3 or 4 miles an hour and still image at 1 foot resolution, or you could even go up even higher than that. You could go a lot higher if you want to try to squeeze that much data into a scan. And then we have like a countdown, or we have a line count. So you put in how many your line's going to be, and it could be anywhere from 0 to 100. And then we have a countdown timer that you can set. So it just doesn't, you turn it on, gives you a warning. You could set this one over a minute if you wanted to. And so it lets you start it, and it'll sit there and count down all this time until you get ready in position, and then it'll tone you when to begin. And so we have those settings, but really that's all there is. And that's right on the front. So it's just something you would normally just set. You select a file name, whatever. There's no complicated save to or anything. Whatever you type in the box ends up the file name, and it ends up in downloads. It doesn't matter. So nothing ever goes anywhere, gets hidden off in a lost file or anything like that. It's all straightforward. And you don't have to stop one and restart another. All you got to do is put a different name in that file box. And so there's none of this save to or any of that stuff. It's way simpler, way faster than that. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, when I first started playing with it, I was asking you questions, and you're doing different things. And but so let's say I got this other machine. It's a PI. It's called the Mole, and it's just a big box, a detector, but it's hooked up to a blanket coil that you pull behind your ATV or something. A big, 4-foot blanket. So this software would hook up to that. And if I'm pulling, say, the blanket is my coil, then I'm picking it up. And so the audio, if I go over, say, a target, I go over something, is it constantly reading the ground as I'm moving, and the patterns are 3D that you're seeing?
No. Matter of fact, that's what our pulse rate is for. So you can set it to go from 1 pulse per second, where it'll take 1 sample per second, like the OKM stuff basically does. Or you can raise that up to 10 samples per second. And that's high. That's basically 1/10 of a foot, right? So if you did 12 samples per second, you're sampling every inch. You see what I'm, and if you're moving at 1 foot per second. So your rate of travel is going to change how much you want it to hit on. if you want to travel faster, you can increase those samples per second, so you still get the same resolution. Or if you're going to go real slow, you can set, at 1 foot or whatever resolution, or 1 sample per foot, and get that same thing. So yeah, so we can change that sample rate, what we want. Now, we don't see much reason to go, say, under the equivalent of what an inch would be if you were traveling forward at 1 foot per second. Even though you could sample it, and then if you progress slowly, you could take 30 samples per inch, because it's how far you're going to travel in 1 second. And so however that far that is, this is how many samples you want. So let's say you could travel 50 feet in 1 second. You're flying a plane or whatever. Well, you could set it for samples at 50 samples per second. And so it would be sampling at that speed at 1 per foot.
Wow,
See?
that's pretty fast, so yeah.
Yeah, that's really fast. So that's why I say this lets you, if your walk cadence fast, once you get used to it, you can set your sample rate up high, walk at normal speed. Like I said, you could do it off a quad at 10 miles an hour, or, whatever, it's still going to work.
So he has upgrading the software can be hard sometimes. How have you done this to make this easy?
Well, ours just reinstalls over the other. We don't update, basically. When you run our installer, it uninstalls the previous version and reinstalls the new version. And that way, we don't even trust upgrades, because when it's as advanced as our software is, you don't need to be reaching into the code and trying to make individual changes, because there's a potential that certain data can get corrupted or get lost in that. So we don't do that at all. And so basically updating your software us is re-downloading your software. You download it again, just the download button. It goes through, uninstalls. It'll ask you, do you want to uninstall whatever, but it uninstalls the previous version, installs the updated version. So it's pretty simple on that end. It's not, I would try to eliminate all the issues the things I hate, I got rid of, period. That's, done it long enough to be pissed off enough times to know what to change.
Well, I can see a purpose for this, so we're going to have to dive into this here a little more in some things, because there's some places I got to check out. But I wanted to ask you another question that us out here in Arizona seems to be getting a lot into. And last time at Moon Lake, kind of asked you a little bit about this here, and you kind of talked to us a little bit about it. If you feel comfortable, if you don't want to talk about it, just say, I don't want to talk about that. The SX70 cameras, the Polaroids, and getting those flares, because I've heard different, like, let's just say Keen Engineering, Pat Keen. I don't know if you've heard about him.
No.
He does the big mining stuff. Keen out in California, all the mining equipment. They build equipment galore. He's pretty knowledgeable. He says what you're picking up is gases, basically, in the ground that it holds the heat or whatever, and then as it builds up, they blow up, and you're picking them up.
Yeah.
Different elements will put out different colors of gases. The other thing you hear about, they're flares. What you see, it's like a light or something. And I know you know a little bit about this, and we've kind of talked a little bit about this. But some of us are trying to get into this type of.
Yeah. So let me tell you what I know. I was taught by the CIA. That was my first big funding on a big dig, was backdoor. And that was one of the things they showed me. And not only that, but the way to do it correctly is you get true infrared film, the kind that you have to keep under 50 degrees, keep it in a cooler or whatever. And then you use the SX70 Polaroid and the true infrared at the same time. And it depends on where you think the cache is. You want to stand 90 degrees to it, because what you're getting, it's not gases. They call it halo gases or ionized emissions. And this is what it actually is. So gold is extremely conductive, and it's non-magnetic. So it will not form an electromagnetic charge, but it will build up electrons on its surface because it's so conductive. It'll hold on to them. These will hold up until like a flame, until it gets to a critical motion, a critical amount, and then that entire amount will lift off and flare off the top and go dissipate back into the environment. And that's what those flares are. The SX70 film that takes those was not an accident. So that's how I was taught it by the CIA. It was developed partially for them. And the man who developed it, I can't remember his name, but I got to talk to him on the phone before he passed away. And he's the one who talked to me about the emulsion and everything else. And he seemed to think, I asked him if we could put a similar emulsion between two glass planes and it would have a flare effect. And he seemed to think that would work. And which reminds us of what they used to call viewing plates back in the ancients. Used to have these mirrors or these glass panes, hold them up, and then they'd see things in them and whatnot. And that's what the equivalent of that would be, where you could actually see the flare live in a visible emulsion. So when you photograph these things, if you're in a direct angle, it'll look totally different to if you're in a side angle, let's say. And the response that comes up is basically photons on a different frequency coming from, or the degenerating of this energy as this fire rises up like a flame. If you're watching a campfire, you feel the heat, but you don't see it, because that radiation's gone from a plasma and degenerated into other forms of radiation, radiant heat, and you feel that. Well, that's what you're photographing with SX70. You're not photographing per se the infrared signature, even though it comes up on an infrared camera. It's the infrared response because you have a target there. That flare, that energy coming up gives a photonic or an infrared response, and that's what we're filming. Now, modern SX70 film won't work, so it doesn't matter what everybody's doing today. It does have a response, but it takes a trained person to recognize it, because all that comes up, it's basically one-step film is the new SX70. It's just one-step emulsion put in the SX70 cartridges. And so that emulsion, you'll get gray banding. So you'll have like 5 gray bands going across your picture. And every one you'll take will be like that. If you move over sideways, it might go to 3, it might go to 2. That's how that film is used. So no longer will you see flares on the new SX70 film. It was the old emulsion. You might still be able to get it. People have told me, oh, they make a limited run of the old emulsion every year. But I've never seen anything come of that. I've never seen it. I've never seen a response from it. You know, I still have 2-step cameras and they haven't, or 1-step cameras, and they haven't made that film in, decades. So, and we used to buy, everything they had. So
I know right now they're, on Polaroid web page, you can buy that. It's like they do a run of it and then they sell out and then they don't have it for a long time. Right now they're out of stock.
Yeah.
But so what I heard, so I mean, I've taken pictures with the XX. I've known some people say they use the 600 camera and they've caught flares with that too. Mm-hmm. But my understanding was the reason you're seeing the flares, back in the olden days, people thought the cameras were defective or something was wrong because they're actually catching a flare and they're not realizing, they think there's something wrong with the camera.
Yeah.
But the new cameras, like your SLRs, they read the light differently, or they focal differently between the two. And because the Polaroids do it differently than your new cameras is why you're seeing the flares, because of the way it's designed.
Well, it's because they're using a chemical. And so this radiation affects a chemical. It's not going to affect a sensor on a digital camera. So the sensors aren't built for that bandwidth of they call it infrared radiation, but it's a very narrow bandwidth. But we don't build sensors for that bandwidth. And if we did, it wouldn't be an optical sensor that you see with. It would be a metered sensor, like a tri-field meter. Let's put it that way. But the emulsion is a chemical. It's a chemical goo, and they're affecting the chemical goo with that radiation. So there's no way that a digital, there's no way that's ever going to do what the emulsion will do, period. Because it's not a chemical,
Yeah, I just heard somehow the way the light, the picture happens after the light, or what you're seeing in the image is opposite on the newer cameras than what it was on those. But then
I've heard go ahead. I've heard a lot of people talk, but I have yet to see a single flare image that matches any real anomaly that I've ever was taught about. So, in the last 20 years. People
say to put like infrared filters on there, or to use UV filters. You have to have a UV filter on your SX70. I've heard 2 different stories about those,
Right. But has anyone actually showed you pictures and said, here's what happens when I put a UV filter on my SX70? No. I know there's all this talk. and all the internet and all the people, and every day you can post photos of anything in the world, and still nobody's posted a photo of a flare. So I've seen a lot of stuff people call that, but it doesn't match anything I was taught from the CIA and on what radiation does. And the only alternative I know today is true infrared film, is regular film, camera film, infrared film. That emulsion will react, but it will never show you the same kind of flare SX70 is. It's a totally different response. You'll get a fog. It'll look like fog, like a circle of fog in the front of the camera out away from you. That's what it'll look like. Or it'll be a stripe of light across where it's a glare, and that's what you're seeing. It's a glare pattern. So SX70 emulsion, it affects the radiation itself. So you see flares with dots, and it looks like beautiful fire and looks crazy looking. But you'll never get that with true infrared film or digital. Never, no way. It's just because it's not. Those things don't react to radiation the same way, as a chemical emulsion. So
I know there's 2 books out. One is about, with the big flare on the front of the cover the guy has. And another one, he's showing you the different cameras. Some of them were like, say, the Canon Rebel XT was one of them he's showing. And you put the infrared filter on that, but you can't see really what you're taking a picture of. And then you have to take it into the computer and slowly bring it to light. And if there's anything there, you're going to see the glow or something like that there.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, and the true flares are unmistakable. They're but again, it's something that people are not passing around, because by the time anybody learned about it, the emulsion was gone. And very few of us were ever, picked up and taken under the wing and said, here, this is what you do. Here's how to use it. And that was because they wanted the value. So they, showed us what was up. But that was back in 94. I mean, it's been a long time now, right? It's almost 30 years since, and it's been a good 20 years since we've been able to get the emulsion. Like I said, you can buy SX70 cartridges, but they're loaded with the 600 emulsion. So
I have seen, there was somebody on eBay selling, you could actually use 600 film in the SX70 cameras, and then they're putting some type of a filter like in there to make that work.
Yeah, it still wouldn't work the same way, because they're not changing the emulsion. So they might, what they're doing is, so there is nanoband IR coming off that radiation, let's say. So that's why true IR film will show you this haze or a glare band. You could probably, and that's kind of what we get when we use 600 film. You just end up with either gray bands or a hazy picture. But that's not a flare. That's not the old, what people talked about from before. Those days are history as far as that goes, because it doesn't matter what filter you put on it if the emulsion, the chemicals are different in the emulsion. If they're not going to respond to that infrared, then they're not going to, because the chemicals aren't in there. So that's why you could do all this without any fancy filters whatsoever, if you're using the right stuff. Now, it potentially could be possible that a sensor could be developed that would respond on the infrared band. But like I said, it's going to respond the same way infrared film does. It's not going to show you the radiating flare with the patterns of the plasma. I mean, we shoot the plasma. We don't get a glow. It's plasma. It looks like a fire with little lightning bolts and balls and all this. Never seen anything like that from anybody's after that, because it's a totally different process. Yeah.
So when we're taking pictures nowadays with this film, SX70, and you'll see what we'll call flares all over the film, that's what, just deformity, or that's something, because it doesn't look like the same, where your colors are. It's just kind of white is what it looks like.
Yeah, the color shouldn't really be that important. Like, again, that's due to the emulsion and how the emulsion makes that color based on what it is. So it's not like if you took a picture and had a yellow flare on it, it's not like the flare is yellow. Matter of fact, it's not got a color. It just makes the yellow effect inside the emulsion. It has that effect. On the new stuff, I've not seen any flares on new stuff. I've had 100 people going to send me, and I've not seen anything that was a flare. I'd like to, because I'd like to do the analytical work on it and see what's going on. For all I know, the only thing you're going to get is haze or gray banding. and that's what you're going to get. But even I can tell you right now, you can take a GoPro camera, it'll do the same thing. If you get it in the infrared reflection off a major gold target, even just a good size one, it'll screw up the sensor. It'll put banding across the sensor, and it won't change until you turn it off and take the camera out of the field and turn it back on. It'll screw up that sensor, and it'll stay screwed up until you reset the camera. And any GoPro, any video camera will do exactly the same thing. It'll have interference and banding on the chip. And that's what they're talking about. It's the effect on the chip itself. It's like it wigs out the chip. That the chip doesn't pick it up. It's wigging out the chip. It's freaking out the chip is what it's doing. So what they're doing is putting a filter probably to knock out everything except infrared to increase the difference that you're going to notice. But yeah, that's about the closest you're going to get, you know.
Okay, well, I'll bring some stuff and you tell me what you think, because some of them, you know, like the flares that are there, you move the camera and it looks like the flares move with it. So like they're moving with the camera, and I know a lot of anyways, but yeah. It's just one of the things that people are getting into, and you know, so
yeah, and the direction of the sun is 90% of getting your flare shot because it's glare off the sun, and your plasma is going to be. You're not going to see it from different. Well, you will with a true SX70. You'll see it from all kinds of places, but with the new stuff and with the infrared film, you have to be in a glare angle, just like glare off a bumper. You have to be in the glare point off of it to get it. This period.
Can you still get infrared film? Can you buy that?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, for Polaroid?
No, they don't make infrared film for Polaroid.
So you can get for like a regular digital camera or something. Then.
No. For a 35 millimeter or 100 millimeter or whatever, just for film cameras, it's film.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So the old 35 film thing. Yeah, I have to use the cartridges, not digital.
Right, and then you have to keep it under 50, or if once it goes over 50, it'll just expose the whole roll.
Okay.
So it has to be cold and all that stuff, and kept cold the whole time. So you keep your camera in a cooler of ice, literally wrapped up in a bag in a cooler of ice, and then you pull it out, take a shot, put it right back in the cooler, because you don't want, if the camera ever warms up to 50, it's screwed. The film will develop. You
mentioned something earlier about, I think you said orbs. So one of the guys that's out there, this guy Mike, he believes where he knows these treasures are buried at. So we went out there one day, and he heard this story, blah, blah, blah. And I'm up on the hill, and I'm taking pictures with, I'm using a Canon, the X Rebel Canon. It's digital, but I had a red filter. I'm an infrared filter on it. And I got it where you could barely see. But when I looked in the pictures after I put in the computer and looked at, we could see these orbs like way out in the distance, these orbs, and they were like popping up all over the place. And it's like ghost, when you see ghost orbs or something, you know. I mean, are those just something different, or is that anything what you were talking about on the orbs?
Yeah, so, and flares will do the same thing. People call them earthquake lights. It's the same thing. It's plasma. And when the plasma charge is hot enough to ionize the air, it'll emit photons. So that's not going to happen normally, but it can. It can build up, and fly off and have enough potential energy to dissipate in the atmosphere. And when it does, it'll emit photons or visible light. You can photograph those with anything. Of course, you can see them with your naked eye too. So, yeah. You know, a lot of places they have these Marfa lights and whatever. There's probably massive hordes of something or another buried. You know, something highly conductive. So,
well, I know this one guy. He was telling me one time that you get these special cameras. They're a digital camera. You have to buy them on eBay because they don't make them anymore. And they're the ones that take a picture like every 5 seconds or something. So you set it up. You point it at the mountain. You set this up to take thousands of pictures, literally, of the same spot. And you got to go through each one, and all of a sudden on one of them, you'll see a glow. And he'll say, that's where there's a treasure buried at right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible, I guess. It just depends. I would think it depends on a lot of factors. And, you know, one day it might show a flare, and the next day it may not, based on just how the energy and the cosmic rays are coming and hitting it from the sun. You know, but I mean, it's certainly possible, because anytime you have a photonic reaction, and high energy, when you energize atmospheric particles, they can emit photons. And that's what you're going to be seeing, you know. But if you were there when that happened, you'd probably see that light with your eyes too.
Oh.
Just like people see lights on mountains all the time. you know, they have mountains and say, oh yeah, we always, even historically 200 years ago, those lights reported on that mountain. You know, it's still going on, and that's what that is. So you'd probably still visibly see that if you were there at the time. So
all right, we're getting high tech stuff. All right, we'll start wrapping things up because we've been going on. So I know we're going to go out to Moon Lake. There's a few people in here that'll be out there at Moon Lake. That's August, what, 14th, 15th, and 16th? Is that the date?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And you're going to be out at Moon Lake, so everybody's going out there. You guys can talk to Robert and show him all your cool stuff.
Yeah, we'll have a table or two, because like I said, we're going to be bringing and promoting our software and taking it. We actually have a physical device too, but we've showed pictures of it, but I haven't released it yet or anything. And that's a little fun toy right here. This will outdo probably any scanning device on the planet. And it's fully AI loaded. It'll be able to talk to you, have a conversation. It can see, it can feel the magnetic field around itself. It tracks all of its position. You can go inside of a cave with that and not just map the cave the way they show you with LiDAR. You can map the cave and map 100 foot deep into the walls, everything in the walls with this device. So we have not even showed this or talked about it with anybody yet, but the software was basically designed and developed to put into this. And so we're giving that software out to people to put it in their computers, but this device will be a whole new animal. And we are hoping, we're hoping to have this thing functioning at Moon Lake. So not only will we have the software solution and be able to play with that stuff, but hopefully we'll have one of these black boxes done. So that's what we're calling it.
I'd love to walk.
It's a neat rig.
Fast with that.
Yeah, it's a neat rig. And you put it on a metal detector or whatever, and it'll track the metal detector head in 3D motion everywhere you put it. So it doesn't matter if you hold it over your head or whatever, it's still going to map with it. You know, we look at maps today and we look at this grid form box, and this won't do that. It'll map around you. You'll be inside the box mapping all the way around yourself. So,
is that like the 3D cameras that you hold and walk in?
Yeah, well, no, kind of. It's more like that photogrammetry stuff where you can photograph and then it comes up as a 3D model in your computer. And you've seen them do this with caverns when they map caverns. You know, they'll go through the whole cavern with LiDAR. It'll map all the surface. Well, this will do the same thing, and it's doing it with the detector head. Well, it's doing it with all kinds of tech. So the AI even said it would like eyes because it'd like to see while we're doing this. So
and you're into this high tech stuff, man.
Well, there's no other way. I mean, that's the whole point. You got to have the advantage. And you know, it's a dream. It's dream. That's what we're doing. I'm building a dream. So every day that you ever use the metal detector, you wish you could just see in the ground like X-ray vision, you know? So, and the only people who can do that are the guys who can afford to pay a lot of money to have it done, or, spend a lot of money on tech, and then they got to learn it and learn magnetic and geophysics and all this other stuff to be able to use their tech. So this is hopefully the dream answer people wait for, is like, you know, I wish I could see with my metal detector. Well, now you can see with your metal detector. at least whatever the capabilities of your detector are, or 2 box or whatever. So
cool, man. Awesome. I was told I can't have detectors there at the Moon Lake.
Well, why is that?
Because Fisher.
What's that got to do with anything?
Because they're selling detectors. So
do they have a monopoly on it?
Apparently they do.
Well, I'll talk to Mark and see if they do or not, because I'm going to be bringing up stuff and selling it. So
yeah, see, because I wanted to bring some gold monsters and Mind Lab stuff and I was told no.
Well, then bring it up as a demonstrator. I'll share my table with you, and you can bring it up as demonstrators for our technology. We'll plug each one in and show them.
Because like that 2 box, that Deus 2, and different things. I wanted to talk about some of the, the new detectors and that, but Terry kind of said no, because Fisher does an awful lot. So I called Rob and talked to him, the Fisher guy, and he told me he'll kick me out of the park if I have one. So
really, if you have another detector on a table?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how that works out. I'm not that easy to kick. I ain't that easy to kick out of a park.
No, but you know what? You got more kraut than I do.
I don't know about clout as much as I'm just a stubborn bastard, dude. I mean, what's right is right. What ain't right, it ain't right. It's a free event. It's an invitational thing. It's open to everybody. I agree with you. And Fisher would benefit, believe it or not, to allow other stuff to be there. that gives them a chance to represent their tech against other things. So,
Well, I thought it should be like anything. If MindLab wanted to set up a booth, they should be able to come in and set up a booth, just like any other event or anything.
Yeah, I'm really not sure you can actually not allow one and not allow another, but whatever. If they're sponsoring the event, if they're dropping a chunk of change and they're the sponsor of the event, I guess they could call the shots, but who knows? I don't know how it works out. I love those guys who put it on. Love Terry, love Mark, love everybody that's helped us out a bunch, man. I can't even name them all, Greg, Tracy, everybody, but, and I love them guys. They're great guys. It's certainly nothing that they would come up with. If Fisher kind of came across that way, well, that's a pretentious scan company. That's not going to sell them a lot of detectors.
No, plus, anyway, we won't even get into what. Yeah. I'm a Fisher dealer too, and so I said, well, then I'll bring some Fisher, and he told me no, they've already got another dealer set up there, and I thought, well, I think that's wrong personally, but I'm not the one that running the event, so yeah, I'm going to sit in your booth there.
There you go. Well, I got to have detectors lined up on the table so I can demonstrate our software works with this, and this. That's the whole point of the software is it works with whatever you plug in. So
which ones do you want me? So I'll call Terry and tell him I'm bringing soft detectors for you because of what you're demonstrating. Which ones do you need me to bring?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to talk, man, between now and when we go, because it would be cool to have something that acts the way our software already likes. You know what I mean? Some of them beep so crazy and do a lot of weird stuff that. We might have to play with a little bit. Yeah, we'll figure something out, Jack. We'll talk about it.
I got a lot of detectors, man, I can bring,
Yeah.
I mean,
and I would not want to disrespect Terry or Mark or anybody, or step on anybody's toes or anything. But I agree with you. It comes to the point so no one, a lot of quality and a lot of individuals and a lot of tech. This should be kind of what this thing is about, and it's not going to be there because of one group. You're going to miss out on 10 because to keep one is the one really worth the 10, but maybe that's how they do it. So they don't have to sell vendor spots and that kind of thing. So I don't think they sell them,
Well, to me, like I said, when was the last time Fisher released a machine,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Years ago. And yet you've got other companies that'll put Fisher in the dark, and yet you're going to say, this is a great machine. And anyway, yeah, we don't want to get into all that crap. But
I hear you. It's
anyway,
self-evident.
Yeah. Anybody that wants to come in, follow you or learn more information, give them all your places again where they can go check you out at.
Well, to start off with, you can Google my name, Robert Kryder. That's Kryder. It's on the screen right there, or Kryder Exploration. We'll come up in search results for all kinds of things. We have KryderExploration.com. We have Kryder Exploration Group, a Kryder Exploration page. On Facebook, we have as well. We have our GeoPro 3D page on Facebook. If you're into the cryptids, like Bigfoot and stuff, we have KX Cryptid Hominid, New Mexico Bigfoot on Facebook. So we're spread around, man. We're kind of everywhere. We're not too hard to find. We're also KX Kryder Exploration on YouTube. So yeah, that pretty well covers it.
Okay. All right. Hey, we appreciate you taking some time and speaking with us, man. We could be talking about all types of electronic and all types of stuff here. It's a broad field,
No, I know. We haven't even started on the rabbit hole. We'll have to talk some more, Jack. I'll tell you what. So.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you taking some time and coming on and talking to us. So, and we'll see you at Moon Lake. But I know there's a few other guys here that's going to Moon Lake, so we'll see you out at Moon Lake. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. So you guys all take care. Have a fantastic evening. Until our paths cross again, peace be with you guys. Thanks again, Robert. See you guys all later. We're out of here. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.
Jack's got a shovel and a dream in his hands, staking claims neath the hot desert sand, chasing the glimmer of gold in the sun. Every hill climbed, it's a battle, but he's won. With friends beside him, he's never alone. Through valleys and mountains, they've made it their home. Treasure comes in the memories we make, in the laughter and stories our friendships create. Gold might be pretty, but it's nothing compared to the joy in the journey, the love that we share. They ride the ATV through the wide open plains, laughing and shouting, forgetting the pains. The wind on their faces, a taste of pure freedom. In the heart of Arizona, they know they'll beat 'em. Life's a wild ride, they shout out so bold. Jack says you never slow down, you never grow old. Treasure comes in the memories we make, in the laughter and stories our friendships create. Gold might be pretty, but it's nothing compared to the joy in the journey, the love that we share. Life's a hell ride, they shout out so bold. Jack says you never slow down, you never grow old. Treasure comes in the memories we make, in the laughter and stories our friendships create. Gold might be pretty, but it's nothing compared to the joy in the journey, the love that we share. So here's to the gold in the lives that we hold. Jack's got his friends, and that's worth more than gold.